Good evening. This is Akash Bani. The news read by Shobhashati Bhattacharjee. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on a 5-day state visit to United States of America and Egypt from tomorrow. Briefing media in New Delhi, Foreign Secretary Binay Mohan Quatra said at the invitation of US President Joseph Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, Mr. Modi will pay an official state visit to USA from 21st to 23rd of this month. He said the visit will commence in New York, where the Prime Minister will lead the celebrations of the International Day of Yoga at the United Nations headquarters on Wednesday. The UN General Assembly had adopted a resolution proclaiming June 21 as the International Day of Yoga in December 2014. The Foreign Secretary said Mr. Modi will thereafter travel to Washington, D.C., where he will receive a ceremonial welcome at the White House on Thursday and meet President Biden to continue their high-level dialogue. He said the US President and the First Lady will host a state dinner in honor of the Prime Minister on Thursday evening. Mr. Quatra said Mr. Modi will address a joint sitting of the US Congress on 22nd June. He said on Friday Prime Minister will be jointly hosted at a luncheon by US Vice President Kamala Harris and Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The Foreign Secretary said Mr. Modi is scheduled to have several curated interactions with leading CEOs, professionals and other stakeholders. He will also meet members of the Indian diaspora. He said the visit is a milestone in the India-US cooperation and it is a very significant and very important visit. Mr. Quatra said it is a visit on which there is a genuine and widespread deep interest in the United States. He said one of the key components which will be prominently showcased will be bilateral defense cooperation. He added that defense industrial cooperation roadmap will be a key outcome of Mr. Modi's US visit. Mr. Quatra said at the invitation of President of Egypt Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the Prime Minister will travel to Cairo to pay a state visit to Egypt from 24th to 25th of this month. He said this will be Prime Minister's first visit to Egypt. The Foreign Secretary said apart from his talks with President Sisi, Mr. Modi will interact with senior dignitaries from the Egyptian government, some prominent Egyptian personalities as well as Indian community in Egypt. He said Mr. Modi will visit 11th century Al-Hakim Mosque renovated by the Bohra community. Mr. Quatra said the Prime Minister will visit Heliopolis War Grave Cemetery to pay tribute to the Indian soldiers who made supreme sacrifice fighting for Egypt in World War I. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh today held bilateral talks with Minister of National Defense of Vietnam General Phan Van Giang today in New Delhi. Mr. Singh and his Vietnamese counterpart exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. The talks were held to further boost the defense cooperation between India and Vietnam. The Vietnamese Minister of National Defense laid a wreath and paid homage to the brave hearts of National War Memorial in New Delhi. Before the talks, Mr. Giang inspected the Tri-Services Guard of Honor. The Vietnamese minister arrived in New Delhi yesterday on a 2-day official visit. He is scheduled to visit Agra during his stay in India. India and Vietnam share a comprehensive strategic partnership and bilateral defense relations are a strong pillar of this partnership. Defense engagements between the two nations have diversified to include wide-ranging contacts between the services, military-to-military exchanges, high-level visits, capacity building, training programs, cooperation in UN peacekeeping and bilateral exercises. The third and final G20 Sustainable Finance Working Group meeting under India's presidency began at Mahabalipuram near Chennai today. The inaugural session began with the Indian chair Geethu Joshi, International Economic Relations, and Chandni Raina from Department of Economic Affairs addressing the participants. The session is co-chaired by the representatives from the US and China. Akash Bani correspondent reports the G20 Sustainable Finance Development Working Group meeting today began in the historical city of Mahabalipuram. Almost 100 participants are gathered to discuss mechanism for mobilization of timely and adequate resources for climate finance, sustainable development goals, support climate-friendly investments, transition activities, and working out with nature-related data and making informed investment decisions taking into account environmental impacts and other issues. That's all in this news bulletin. Namaskar.